Hey everybody, this is Heartless Spartan here with a new Toy Talk series. This one's going to be based off of My Little Pony. So this very first video for this series is just kind of going to be a bit of an overview of kind of the toys and a little bit of the history and like kind of how I got into the whole My Little Pony thing and the collections. Now, most of what I have here is G4. I mean, like everything that's on the screen here is Generation 4 from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I mean, when I was very young, I had maybe one or two ponies, like, actual pony figures, maybe from anywhere from G1 to G3. I'm not really sure. Maybe a couple of McDonald's ponies, but at that time, I wasn't like, oh, those are girls' toys. No, I was just kind of like, those are cute, but I'm not really interested in that. And they just kind of ended up in like the toy bin of like the unused toys. But here, we have my menagerie of Generation 4 My Little Ponies. Now, it goes without saying, Generation 4 My Little Pony was an absolute phenomenon when it came out. I mean, the basis of it was like just the art direction, the animation, the writing, the adventure, the meaningful lessons that were just kind of tied into everything that just didn't blatantly stand out. It was just kind of like naturally learned throughout the episode and across the series. And the character growth for, both the main characters and a multitude of side characters was just absolutely fantastic. I mean, not excluding, the voice actors and, like, everything else, like, surrounding the creation of that series. It was just absolutely fantastic. Now, for several years, they had come out, with the regular ponies and stuff. But, like, as big of a phenomenon as it was, for whatever reason, Hasbro just didn't seem to quite cash in on it as much as we might have expected them to. I mean, they certainly did at various points, especially with the My Little Pony movie, but unfortunately when that came around, like, I had already kind of stepped away from the fandom at that point. I was holding on to my money, like, I had stepped away for other reasons. I was going to college at the time. I didn't really have time to go shopping at stores or really have the money to spend at stores. I really would have expected a lot more to come out of that series, toy-wise and merchandise-wise. I mean, they came out with a lot of stuff, but it seemed like they kind of diverged from what they really should have been making, and they should have kept to their core figures in that. And if we kind of look into what is still around for My Little Pony, there is some stuff that's out, but it's essentially like the series has essentially dried up as a toy line. They came out with Generation 5, which when I heard about Generation 5 coming out, yeah, I did go out and I checked the toy aisles and I bought up kind of what they had available. I was excited for the series. And I did think the toys were kind of cute. And I did kind of question, okay, why are they more of like the action figure rather than the brushable little pony dolls that they used to be? And I found that kind of odd. And even then when they did come out with brushable versions of the characters, I don't know if they came out with all of the characters as brushable versions, but like the hair was thinner and stuff and it didn't look right, and I was like, okay, I'll just buy this type with the sculpted hair. Well, it looks more like the character, but at the same time the classic My Little Pony figures had the brushable hair, and I don't mind either or. I do also like the way these look, but they just kept rehashing the same characters in different accessory playsets. And it's like, you don't want to just keep buying the same character with the exact same sculpt, and okay, maybe they added like glitter or something around the like the cutie mark or the hooves or something to try to change it up, but it was just kind of the same thing the entire time, and I didn't really see any other side characters or anything come out for Generation 5. And that just kind of died out. And the entire life cycle of Generation 5, I saw next to nothing on the toy shelves, and that ended up being very disappointing. Now, I'm talking about this in a very extensive time scale here, because I really got into My Little Pony, the Friendship is Magic series, the G4 series, back in like high school, back in like maybe 2011, 2012. And like I had really gotten into that. And what I have in front of me is kind of the gist of what I collected in those handful of years around the end of high school and maybe a couple years after, while I was still in touch with a lot of my friends from high school and that. But given certain situations and circumstances, I kind of had to step away from the fandom. I mean, I stopped watching the show around I think season 5. And it's been like probably over a decade that back in December I finally went back and started watching the show again. And, that has been a treat, but it also kind of disheartens me that, after all these years, it's finally coming to an end for me, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, wow, now that I'm back into this again, I really want to see more. But there's nothing. Like, the shelves are barren. Places are clearancing out even whatever's left of G5. So it's a little bit upsetting. There is a little bit of good news on the horizon, though. That Hasbro is looking to kind of redevelop their My Little Pony line. Just not necessarily this year in 2025, maybe 2026 is kind of the rumor and the announcement kind of going around. We might see a few things pop up. I do know that this year already they are reissuing the Bishujo figures, if I'm saying that right. Probably butchered it. But years ago, I had decided that, okay, so I don't have a ton of money, but if I was to get one of those figures, naturally it would be Luna for me. And so that's why I have the Bishujo Luna set up in my old ponies from many years ago. But they are coming out with re-releases of the main 6. And I have those pre-ordered up, so I think if I can work it into my channel, then yeah, I'll probably be reviewing those as the first things to review for My Little Pony. So maybe that'll give you guys something to look forward to. I mean, I am doing this video because someone had suggested, okay, I'm actually kind of interested to see your other collections. And while I don't really like to show stuff off, I will share certain parts of it. And I really do like to review the new stuff that people can still get. I don't always feel great kind of showing the old things or ways I've boosted my collections by going on eBay or going out to vintage toy stores and stuff to try to find things. Which honestly, around me, I've been to some of the vintage toy stores and they have next to nothing My Little Pony. Either it all got bought out a long time ago, or there's just nothing to bring in anymore. For 2025, other than the Bishujo figures, they might be coming out with some card games. I've heard rumors and stuff. I've seen some stuff that, a lot of Chinese companies have been coming out, and a lot of G4 My Little Pony stuff has been a big hit in China. And Hasbro's oh, let's get them to bring it to the United States. And that would be fantastic. I mean, the stuff's made in China anyways. They just have to slap some English labels on those. And believe me, I mean, we'd probably buy that stuff up, especially if it's pretty decent quality, and it's a bit better than some of the stuff Hasbro was kind of putting out themselves over here. So there's a chance that we might have something to look forward to this year. It's just very slim pickings. Or at least it might just get pushed into 2026 with whatever Hasbro has planned to kind of reinvigorate the My Little Pony line next year. And with Monster High kind of at least being extended another year, maybe I'll have something to transition into if the Monster High line kind of stops. So I'll have a little something extra to keep the channel going. So I do want to kind of give a bit of an overview just kind of on what I have here in front of me. Now, this menagerie of pony figures and stuff I have here, this is what I had when I got into My Little Pony when I was in high school. Maybe like at most like 20 ponies. Some of the little statues and stuff. I mean, I had some plushies. I have some of the trading card boxes. My favorite, Princess Luna over there. I mean, looking at these, I don't want to get her hooked on there. Like, I didn't necessarily play too much with them. They were usually mostly on display for me. I spent a lot of time writing fan fiction and stuff back then. Just kind of writing stories. Now, I could spend a very long time talking about my stories and that, and how I was fitting them in a canon, and even how I was retconning things as I started rewatching the show again. But I mean, unless people really want to hear about that, they'd have to request that in the comments, because that would be videos in and of itself, and a whole other series on the channel if I did that. Because I could go on forever with that. Yeah, I mean, had many of the regular ponies. I had a few of the little blind bag ponies. I wasn't too big into the blind bag gambling thing, and then of course, years later, it turned into a whole phenomenon where all these companies just kept coming out with blind bag figures. And I just despise that business strategy. And when they were coming out with stuff like these, I don't know why they just did not keep coming out with stuff like this. I mean, these were cool. And they came out with Celestia and Nightmare Moon, and I was like, I really want a Luna, and I never saw a Luna come out of those. And of course, there's the Beanie Babies. Let's see. Oh, the My Little Pony movie stuff. So I did, back in the day, happen to pick up at least one figure to add to my collection. I mean, I have more now that I picked up over time, but this is what I had back when I was younger. And I thought this was the coolest thing ever. Well, not ever, but My Little Pony wise, I thought this was fantastic. This posable action figure with removable armor, and and shining armor came with a spear that actually attached to his leg. I mean, that was brilliant. I wanted to army build these so bad, but I just did not have that kind of resources at the time to do that. But I just absolutely love these, and I really liked the My Little Pony movie figures that they came out with. I thought those were so cool. And, I wouldn't say that I would advocate for just the sculpted kind of action figure type ponies, because I do like the brushables. I think they're really cute. I think they're really classic. I don't think they should do away with that. But the hair has to be good on them. Otherwise, they don't look cute, and they don't look fantastic. And I wouldn't really want to buy them. Kind of ran into that with some of the G5 ones, where the hair just looked so so thin and scraggly that I was like, I don't really want those. But let's see. So how did I get into My Little Pony? That's probably a question that's gonna pop up. When I was in high school, I was kind of obsessed with space science, and I already had this like pre-existing like obsession and romanticization of the moon. Like I already called it Luna in that anyways, but like a friend of mine had told me that, oh, you should check out My Little Pony, and I raised an eyebrow at that. It's like, I'm like, why? What? Like I didn't even know they were like doing like a new like My Little Pony series. Like I had never been into it before or anything. My friend starts telling me about the character Princess Luna. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go check it out. And I watched the first few episodes. I think at that time at least half of season 1 was out already, and like I just fell right into it. It was amazing. And naturally I just kind of fell instantly in love with Princess Luna, and just kind of ran with her as my favorite pony to this day. And you know what? Probably as my very first review, I'll probably review that Bishujo Luna, because I still have her box in that too. I kept very good care of this stuff. But yeah, I mean that was my initiation into My Little Pony. Just kind of those, because like YouTube wasn't quite into the copyright strike stuff yet back then, and people were just kind of uploading things at will. I was regularly able to hop on a YouTube and just watch My Little Pony, and that got me into the whole series and the merchandise, and I became the one at my school to kind of spread that. And it turned into a pretty big thing there, which kind of will get me into another topic later in the video here. But yeah, I mean that probably turned into like some of the best years of my life there, because I mean it became a medium for making friends. Like even for like 16 to 18-year-old boy, started making all kind of like a lot of friends, like, and naturally I how do I put this? By sharing an interest with what girls like, the girls also liked me. So that very much worked out in my favor, and I had no issues with that. And that was rather fantastic. So that was a pretty good motivator to kind of keep me in the fandom there as well. And a lot of people, boys and girls, especially the girls, I mean, they'd be reading my fan fictions and stuff, and because I was the one that kind of kicked things off, and I was like the popular kid, but I wasn't like a jerk about it, at least to the best of my knowledge I wasn't. But I mean, My Little Pony really drove those years for me. And even probably one of my favorite figures here was the Nightmare Moon that came in that Toys R Us exclusive pack. And anytime I'd take my computer writing anywhere, because a lot of my stories and stuff would involve Princess Luna in that, I'd take that with me, and then people would be asking about it and stuff. It's like, oh, I've never seen a pony like that before. And it's like, yeah, I mean, check out the new show. I mean, I would talk people into it. And, most of the time they liked it. So, given what's here, I kept my stuff in really good condition, because, like, one of the questions is, like, okay, so how did, 16 to 18-year-old teenager Spartan play with My Little Pony toys. Well, the gist of it is that I kind of really didn't. Most of the time the stuff was on display. If I did play with them, I handled them very gently. I would kind of move them around, it's or I'd include them in like set pieces and things like that, and I'd have my own stories and stuff going, like fit into like my world of play, you can put it as, that was separate from like my fan fictions and stuff. I didn't tie that stuff in, which is also why I have this random pony over here wearing a cloak. Obviously it did not come with that. The interesting thing is, this pony in particular was the only random pony that I went into the store and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a pony today that wasn't like the named character like the main 6 and stuff was. And I didn't know who this pony was. It had like what I thought at the time was a generic name in that. And I sifted through the shelf looking for a pony that I liked. And I happened across this one because I liked the colors. She looked really cute. I liked her cutie mark in that and her name. And I ended up buying her. And you know what? I recently found out after like back in December when I started watching the show and buying some My Little Pony stuff off eBay that this is kind of a rare, popular character. Like, go figure, the one that I picked off the shelf to buy just at random for myself, just to have like a random pony, ended up being kind of a rare one. I ended up getting Flitterheart. And I bought her because she looked really cute. And I really liked the color combinations on her, and her cutie mark was hearts. Now, I ended up putting a cloak on her because this was probably the one I played with the most. Because what I ended up doing was, so in my world of play, or my play universe, you could call it whatever, I ended up coming up with like a galactic nation for the My Little Ponies. They were the Equestrian Republic, and their government kind of worked like a representative democracy, but with royalty, kind of like the British government does, where it's like a representative government, but the royalty has a certain degree of power and influence as well. But in that universe, the My Little Ponies are benevolent. They go around as like ambassadors and peacemakers, and they go around like uplifting kind of worlds and bringing them cooperatively together in that representative government. Now, this one, as I said, was the one that I probably played with the most. Was kind of like an ambassador to a planet where it was being occupied by the sort of like the Empire from Star Wars, but it was loosely based on it. They were kind of bad guys, but at that point, everything was kind of like the Empire was like in shambles, and there were like remnants and stuff, and certain Imperial groups were trying to seize power and get things back together. And while this ambassador was trying to visit and make peace on that planet, a team of scout troopers was sent to kind of capture and interrogate her, because the My Little Ponies or the Equestrian Republic was kind of like new on the scene, and they wanted information and essentially like a hostage to bargain with. But what ended up happening was the planet they were on and the city that they were in ended up getting kind of attacked by the flood parasite from Halo. So like an apocalyptic parasite, and the planet was getting overrun, and the city they were in was being destroyed. I mean, the scout troopers lost most of their team. It was down to one guy and this pony. And the pony ended up like wearing a cloak for like protection and to conceal her identity and like other things as like the story went on. But it was like this scout trooper and this pony trying to survive on this planet for quite some time. And as my story went on, and at some point, I think like a Sith was even trying to like corrupt the pony, but it wasn't working. And because the Empire was made up of like human beings, like not everyone was evil, and like the she was trying to like turn the remnants to like, you know, instead of like being evil power mad people to actually start trying to save people on the planet and find a way to escape. So that's kind of the background for her, even though like some Sith and stuff were also trying to like corrupt her and like other stuff happened. But like with the Equestrian Republic, they eventually kind of like joined the war against the Flood with my other armies and galactic nations and things, and they kind of butted heads with some other kind of like more imperialistic nations. But yeah, that's how I played with My Little Ponies. I just came up with tons and tons of stories. Did I have a favorite My Little Pony? I mean, of course, Luna. Just absolutely love this character. I based a lot of my own written stories surrounding her. Of course, I had an OC. My OC was like a spirit of harmony. I put a lot of myself into that OC, and of course there's because I was writing that stuff back in high school, and I was getting the girls interested and everything like that. I was, there was of course some romantic involvement there between my OC and that character Luna there. I could talk forever. Like I said, that could be a whole other series on its own, but I'm not going to fill up this video with that stuff. Request it in the comments if you want. But other than Luna being my favorite character, I would say out of the main 6, at the time, Applejack was my favorite pony out of the main 6. Just because, like most people that found a favorite pony, she was most like me. Just, I was constantly working. I was just a terribly honest person. Yeah, I was that like very reliable friend that would always just be like, okay, you need help with that, I will help you with that. I need to tell you this thing, I will tell you this thing. If this is what you need to hear, I am going to tell you this. Yeah, like Applejack sometimes could be very blunt about that, but yeah, I was like a workhorse back then. I still kind of am. I'm constantly working. I'm constantly doing something. But I'm also very nerdy, so Twilight's kind of another one I really like. And I just love how girlishly creative Rarity is. So, I mean, I have my favorites. A lot of them were also very much like other friends I had in high school, too. So we all kind of had our assigned ponies that were most like us, and that was always fun. Getting back into My Little Pony, it's like, okay, so why... My Little Pony is something very near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. One of which being, when I was in high school, I kind of used My Little Pony and the popularity that came with it, and my popularity that kind of grew when I was in school, as a tool to get students to come to school, and I would tutor them and stuff when they'd miss school. I'd catch them up on things and everything, and, of course, we'd be talking My Little Pony and everything. And it was, quite interesting and a lot of fun. And it kind of was the ignition point to kind of drive me towards my now current professional teaching career. And kind of the initial driving force and, the spark of that was My Little Pony. And I can honestly say that, probably without My Little Pony, I wouldn't be a teacher today. And it's a career that I love and enjoy. And you know what? My students even know that I like My Little Pony. I'm teaching 7th graders now, and it's like I pulled out a bag full of G4 My Little Pony stickers and was like, who wants a sticker? And I had, 7th graders come up and just pick a sticker, both boys and girls. They're like, yeah, absolutely. And, every day that I'm at work and, I'm walking along, I'm, teaching or lecturing or having the students do activities and things, and I'll be walking through the classroom patrolling and checking on students and that. And I'll see one of my Little Pony stickers on their Chromebooks or something, and it just brings a smile to my face. Like, it adds a little extra light to my day there. And that is just absolutely wonderful and fantastic, and I just absolutely love it. And I don't think it's something that I'm gonna let go. It's not like I'd ever just kind of really give away or sell my Little Ponies, because it's just such an integral part of my life and some of the things from the best years of my life. So My Little Pony could just be an absolutely a big deal, and I really would love to see it make a comeback. I really want to talk about it more. I have so much to talk about, both figure and toy wise. The expansion to my collection over the past several months, because I went on a bit of a spree after diving back into the show. It's going to be so sad when that comes to an end for me. I'm on season 9 and I'm dragging it out. I'm so afraid to end the series, because I've had the story going in my head for over a decade now, and my in tandem with my own fan fictions and stuff that I've been while I haven't been actually typing out and uploading, I've still been ruminating and writing in my head for years. Just because I love the characters that I made, and I love the relationships that they've formed over time. So I still sort of play My Little Pony. I just keep things displayed and I keep the stories going, which is still very much fun for me. And I want to see more My Little Pony stuff come out in the future. I would love for them to do another show, but I don't want the show to be the thing that determines their toys. I want the toys to be its own entity. It doesn't have to focus purely on the show, and if they do a show, it needs to be an actual episodic show with a narrative and a story and a purpose behind it. It can't be short form content. God help us if it's short form content, because it will just die instantly. And fans, especially me, would probably be like, this is the worst thing they could have done if they come out with short form content for My Little Pony as their reintroduction. Let's not do that. We need to get away from that. Let's get back to the adventure. Let's get back to the narrative. Let's get back to the friendships and the relationships that these characters form with each other, because that should be the driving point and the focus behind the show if they do one. I would love to hear questions and comments and kind of any hope for the future of the show and the toys and the merchandise and all kinds of ideas for cool stuff. Just put it in the comments. Make requests. I'd love to do more. I'd love to hear more, and I'd love to show more My Little Pony stuff. And I'd really like to get into reviewing stuff further down the line, especially the Bishujo figures that are re-releasing this year. So this has been Heartless Spartan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.